Sonny Gray was dominant, and the Cardinals take care of business by sweeping the Pittsburgh Pirates. Walk the plank, you scallywags.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on X at JD Sports Radio. The podcast available as well at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Hit that notification button so you don't miss out on anything. You can find us on TikTok and Instagram as well. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. The ugly shirt is engaged. The vibes are good. And the St. Louis Cardinals did exactly what they needed to do in their three-game series against the struggling Pittsburgh Pirates. I wanted 2 wins. They said, F it, we'll give you 3. Let's grab the brooms. And they sweep these suckers out of town as the Cardinals take 3 straight over the Pirates after shutting them out on Wednesday by a score of 5-0. Sonny Gray was the big story in this one. He was brilliant. He fires off 7 shutout innings. He allows just 2 hits. He strikes out 8. He does all of it on 89 pitches. He walks just 1. And similar to what we saw from Matthew Liberatore on Tuesday night, it was all about attacking the zone, throwing strikes, forcing the Pirates to beat you, not the other way around. And it worked beautifully for Sonny and the Cardinals. Sonny moves to 4-1 on the season. The ERA drops to 3.50. The 4 wins, I know it doesn't sound like it's a whole lot right now, but the 4 wins ties him for 3rd most among all major league pitchers. Only 4 pitchers in the NL have 5 wins. One of them is relief pitcher for the Washington Nationals, who's got an ERA over 7, but yet has 5 wins. Weird, right? But Sonny is right there among the best starters in the game. I know his last outing against the Mets, it wasn't great. We know that. But the Mets are a really good team. 2nd most wins in baseball. All right. So the Mets are going to do things against really good pitchers. He had the hiccup against the Angels, where he was just absolutely dealing before the bad inning and the ill-fated grand slam he gave up. Probably stayed in the game a little too long. And I'm sure that Ollie and Sonny have learned from that. But other than those games, he's been really, really good. Credit to Kyle Leahy. He comes into this game in the 8th inning. Feels like he made his 50th appearance of the season already this year. But in real life, it's actually his 18th, which is still a lot. He's tied for the 2nd most in Major League Baseball. Got his 9th hold of the year, which is tied for the 3rd most. His ERA is down to 1.21. Opponents are hitting 97 against him, and this is after he actually gave up 2 singles in the 8th inning, which for a moment there I was like, oh boy. Oh, boy. I was like, no. We don't need drama. We don't need drama, Kyle. Just go out and do your thing. And he was able to work out of it. So no harm, no foul. You would love to give Leahy some more rest because you don't want to burn him out so early in the season where he doesn't have any juice left for the end of the year. They got a day off on Thursday, which is great. But also remember at the time, in this game, it was 3-0. So the game, it was still in the balance. We had no idea what the outcome of this game was going to be. You felt good about what the Cardinals had done, but you didn't know. So Ollie was like, look, I got to go to the guys that I trust. So Kyle Leahy came in, ends up throwing a shutout inning. Cardinals were able to tack on 2 more in the bottom of the 8th inning, thanks to Jordan Walker. We'll get to that a little bit later. So good news here. Ryan Helsley, who started to warm up and was playing catch, he got to sit back down, and instead they go to Chris Roycroft. They pointed out on the telecast, if you missed it, that they were like, look at the arm slot for Chris Roycroft. Doesn't it seem a little bit lower than where he was earlier in the season? And Chip and Brad had a nice discussion about that he wasn't really an over-the-top kind of pitcher before this, but that he does look a little bit lower. He looks like he's more in line with the shoulder and stuff. And as a former pitcher, I understand that what that's going to do movement-wise with your pitches. You come straight over the top with a 4-seamer, and that thing's going to come in normally pretty straight, pretty easily to hit, right? But when you're coming down here, you're going to get some action, especially if you're messing around with the seams of the baseball. You're going to get some action. I used to throw. I even got a baseball here that I got from the last series against the Cardinals and the Reds. But I used to throw a two-seamer, and I was a 3/4 type of pitcher. Was always that way because I was an infielder and a pitcher. So I was just used to throwing it from that particular slot. And when I went two seams, that ball just would take off. Like, it was really tough to control. But you've got Chris Roycroft who throws that sinker, and being lower with the arm slot, that's going to help out the movement on that sinker ball so much. And you could see in this game that sucker was taken off. Roycroft, a huge man, 6'7", really long arms. So he could become a right-handed hitter's nightmare with a lower arm slot, able to control it and throw it for strikes when he needs to. But the idea is to get people to chase and make it a very uncomfortable at bat for any sort of right-handed hitter that he's going to face. But he's able to come in, shuts it down in the ninth inning, and the Cardinals take this one by a score of 5-0. Another big aspect on the offensive side about this game was the speed of Victor Scott. And it made a huge difference once again in this game. So we're going to get into that and discuss it next, coming up on Locked On Cardinals. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Then crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts that you can get. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. I have actually been toying around with different flavors of the Wonderful Pistachios. I'm on honey roasted at the moment, which are very, very good. When you're watching, Cardinal baseball games, you're watching any sort of NHL or NBA playoffs, you got the Battle Hawks, whatever it is that you're paying attention to. Heck, you're watching movies. Doesn't have to be sports, but you're going to want something to snack on. And why not make the smart decision and go with something that is super snackable, but also good for you? Wonderful Pistachios will be that choice. It makes it super easy to get a quick protein boost, which is always nice if you're trying to build muscle, if you're somebody who likes to work out. And they provide all 9 essential amino acids while you're watching the big game or a movie with your significant other. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. A lot of happy Cardinal fans right now as they take 3 straight from the Pittsburgh Pirates. They've won 5 in a row, so people are pretty happy with what they're seeing right now. Fans were really happy back in the 80s, and one of the great things about the Whitey ball era teams in those 80s was the speed that those guys possessed. It was relentless. You had Vince Coleman, you had Ozzie Smith, you had Willie McGee, you had Lonnie Smith, you had Tommy Herr. There were other guys too, but when these people got on the base paths, they were making things happen. Whether it was stealing bases, which they did a lot of, or just the ability to utilize the speed that they have to create runs when normal teams couldn't do it. The Cardinals haven't really had a guy like that in quite a while, with just upper echelon elite speed that could run with anybody in the league. Someone who can change the outcome of a play, which could in turn change the outcome of a game, and do it with their legs. But they got someone to do that now in Victor Scott II. The wheels that he possesses is top tier. Nobody faster, really. He may not be the fastest guy in the game, but he's right there if he's not. I'll have to look at the StatCast stuff and see exactly where he's ranking right now. But if he ain't first, he's right behind that person, right? And we knew it when he started on the roster last year that get him on base, and there was excitement, right? Because you were like, let's see him run. Let's see him run. The problem was you can't use the speed unless you're good on first base. And that's where the problem was last year. He was having trouble getting on first at all. Things are night and day for Victor this season. He was 1 for 2 in Wednesday's game. He had a walk, 2 runs scored. He's now batting .289 on the season, which is second on the club, behind only Brendan Donovan. He's got an OPP of .359, third on the team behind Donnie and Newt. He's got 6 doubles, a triple, 2 home runs, team leading 11 stolen bases. Just got thrown out by the Pirates for the first time in this series. Had not been thrown out yet this season. Those 11 stolen bases put him in 4th place among all base stealers in Major League Baseball. He is becoming the weapon we all envisioned he would after his breakout year in 2023. If you remember, that season is when Victor Scott was put on the map, when people were aware of who he was. Batted .303 and had 94 steals in 123 games at Peoria and Springfield. And just for fun, he added 18 more in 23 games during the Arizona Fall League. He was just showing off by that point. And that speed was a difference maker in the game on Wednesday. It was huge. He did it not once, but twice. Scored from first base. That does not happen very often. And definitely not at Busch Stadium. Maybe some of these other ballparks where they got some weird crevices or something in the outfield, or like Coors Field where, it just grass for days out there in the outfield. First time this happened was in the 3rd inning. And he's running on the play, so he gets a head start. Running on the play, scores on a base hit to right center field by Lars Nootbaar, who had 3 hits on the day, which was nice to see. And there are only about a handful of guys who could have scored on this particular base hit. It didn't go to the wall. It was just in the right center field gap. Didn't make it to the wall. And as much as we give Cardinals third base coach Pop Warner a hard time because of some of the sends that he has had this year to home plate, this one right here was beautiful. It was a beaut. He was aggressive. He knew the Pirates were going to have to field everything perfectly. They would have to do it all cleanly and make a perfect throw to have a chance to get Victor Scott at home plate, and it paid off when Vic was able to slide in, just beating the tag to make it 1-0. They might have caught the relay team off guard there, where they were like, wait, what? He's trying to come around and score? What the hell is this? And by then, it's too late because Victor is too fast. Mason Wynn would double to score Newt. That made it 2-0 in this one, and the Birds were off and running. A couple of innings later, they do it again. This time, Vic was not running on the play. He just took off from first base after the ball was hit. Mason Wynn rips a double down the line in left field. It kisses off that side wall, that corner that comes out on both sides by the foul lines, and it goes back towards play. And Vic just never slows down. Full stride. Pop Warner, let's go. Makes it home easily. There wasn't even a play. Scored from first base on that, making it 3-0. The guy can fly. And you got to see it on display twice in this game. Situations where normal human beings are stopping at third for sure. They're not even sniffing home plate. And Victor did it twice. Shout out to Luken Baker and Jordan Walker, who helped tack on some much-needed insurance runs in the 8th inning. Luken hasn't seen a lot of playing time recently. He's been used sparingly because they've been facing a lot of right-handed pitchers. That's really all there is to it. If there's a situation that, a lefty does come in, Ali hasn't been switching them out. He's been keeping the same guys in. And so Luken Baker hasn't been able to get a lot of plate appearances. But after Brendan Donovan gets his single in the 8th inning, Contreras strikes out. But Luken Baker pinch hits for Alec Burleson, hits a broken bat double to make it 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. Nolan Gorman whiffs, looked terrible in that at bat against the lefty. It was just like, oh gosh, you're not even going to come close to this one, are you? And that brought up Jordan Walker. And it's no secret that Jordan has been having a tough time. All right. He's hitting 123 since like April 13th with only 3 RBIs, his 20 strikeouts and 61 plate appearances. It's been a rough go. And I've seen a lot of people who are like, get him out of here. He sucks. And I'm like, guys, you know how long this season is? Do you? Like, they're not going to pull the plug on this thing. They're going to let him try to figure it out, which is what they need to be doing. You guys can't just keep yanking these dudes off the field and expect them to ever become the player that you want them to be. The Pirates bring in a right-hander, Colin Holderman, who has got some filthy stuff. I think he hit 101 today. He's got some filthy stuff. Don't let the numbers on the back of his baseball card fool you. He's got some good stuff. And Jordan Walker has a solid at bat and is able to knock a base hit up the middle. Hits a single, plates two, makes it 5-0, which also not only does it give you some more runs, but it also allows the Cardinals to sit Helsley down. They didn't need him anymore. Not a closing situation, no imminent danger of giving up the lead. So Ryan Helsley doesn't have to come into this game. You get to save him. And instead, Chris Roycroft was able to pitch instead. And he was good. Got to get some action in there. You got to see him do his thing in the 9th inning. It was nice. And I'm just hoping that this is a big confidence boost for Jordan Walker, because both him and Nolan Gorman, guys that this team and this organization is going to ride or die with this year, both of them need confidence. It has been a real struggle for both of them. Everybody knows it. They know it. Trust me, it's not unnoticed that they're having a tough time. But they're going to let these guys try and figure it out. They think enough of them that they need to figure it out. These guys need to be guys that they can count on in the future, that they want to count on in the future. These are former first-round picks. They can't just blow them off and say, well, we're moving on. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. And I'm glad they're sticking to their guns, that they're not benching them all the time. But I'm hoping it's a confidence boost. There has been brought up where, like, why isn't Jordan Walker in the lineup recently? Apparently, like Katie Wu tweeted about this, that he's been working diligently with hitting coordinator Brant Brown to try to figure things out. You've noticed that he's started to open up his stance a little bit more again. I actually was texting with Thomas Cobain from RedbirdRants.com about this yesterday. It was like, was it like this? Because remember, he closed it off at the beginning of the year. Now he's back to opening things up again. They're trying. They're tinkering. They're trying to figure things out. They're working on it. But it's going to take time. And they're trying to get him back to being the guy who can, do some serious damage for this team from the right side of the plate. That's what they're looking for. Cardinals put up 5 runs and 11 hits in this game. Newt goes 3 for 4 with a run and an RBI. Had hit a little bit of a downturn there for a little bit. So hopefully he's heating up again. Mason Wynn 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. He looks great. Batting second in this lineup, seems to be thriving and loving it. Nolan Arenado was a late scratch in this game due to back spasms, so Gorman got the start at third. I mentioned kind of the ugly strikeout there in the 8th inning, but he was 1 for 3, also had a walk. Contreras and Burley were the only starters held without a hit in this one. And it's nice that you don't have to rely on Wilson Contreras every single game or Brendan Donovan every single game to do all of the damage. It was other people in this lineup that they were able to get to Pirate starter Mitch Keller, who's a very good pitcher. So a strong day for the offense. Before we wrap it up, I do want to talk about Tuesday night's game, Matthew Liberatore start, when he and the Cardinals took down Paul Skenes again. We got to talk about it. We can't just gloss over that and not talk about it. So we'll get into that next, coming up on Locked On Cardinals. Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse. Whether you're in plumbing, whether it's HVAC, electrical work, SupplyHouse is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? It happens. Don't be scared. SupplyHouse offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros, check it out. Looking for an extra edge? Of course you are. Their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's SupplyHouse.com. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. If you haven't done that already, every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. As I've mentioned before, I am one of the hosts of MLB Game Night, so I stay up late with you guys. For our West Coast people out there, we stay up late. We get them all in, so stay up with me. And be sure to check it out because we do have a good time on that show. So with the day game that followed the night game on Tuesday, we didn't get a chance to talk about that pitcher's duel that we saw on Tuesday night at Busch Stadium. And I admit I prefer games that have a little more action. I like a few more runs. I don't need them to be, Coors Field type games where it's, 9-8, 10-9, 11-10, stuff like that. It doesn't have to be like that, but I like a little bit of action. I like a good 4-3, 5-4 ball game. Doesn't mean I don't appreciate what we saw on Tuesday night when Matthew Liberatore absolutely outdueled God's gift to pitching, Paul Skenes. And I'm sure the national narrative will be, oh no, what's wrong with Paul Skenes? Because he's their golden boy. And deservedly so. I'm not saying he's not good. The dude's outstanding. And he was really good on Tuesday night. They were showing his pitch arsenal before the game. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude throws like 20 different pitches. Seemed like he threw everything except a knuckleball, which I'm sure he's working on. And then he comes at you comfortably with, 98, 99, 100. Like it just comes in easy and smooth. That's why he was the number 1 overall pick. The dude is really, really good, right? And against almost every team, he's almost been unbeatable. But there's one team. There is one team that has his number, and that is your St. Louis Cardinals. That's right. They didn't light him up or anything. They scored 5 runs against him in the game earlier this season, which was the most at the time that Paul Skenes had ever given up. It might still be. I don't know. I don't follow his every move, but they didn't light him up in this one. They normally don't, but they figure out a way to win. 2 runs on 4 hits, I think was what the final count was on Tuesday night, but enough to get the W because on the other side was Matthew Liberatore. Right there with him, pitch for pitch, and eventually outlasted him. Libby threw on Tuesday night as well as I've seen him throw as a starter, and he's had some really good games. I remember the game against Tampa Bay vividly of how good he looked in that one. And I know the Pirates aren't murderers row. I get it. They're one of the worst hitting teams in the league right now, but it's still a major league lineup. You've still got notable guys like O'Neal Cruz and Brian Reynolds and Andrew McCutchen and Key Brian Hayes. I mean, it's not like they're absolute trash. Those are some good players. I would like to see those players on my team. And Libby was up for the task, man. He goes 7 innings, allows 1 run on just 3 hits, and ties a career high with 8 strikeouts. That's back-to-back games that the Cardinals got their starters to throw 7 innings. Pretty good in this day and age. But Libby was outstanding. He was aggressive in the zone, 99 pitches to get through 7 innings. Sonny Gray did 89 on Wednesday, 99 for Libby. 70 of them were strikes. He walks 1 guy. He just attacked. And that's exactly what you have to do against a team who is offensively challenged like the Pirates have been. You don't screw around and nibble around the zone, hoping you get calls. You don't pitch around dudes and risk walking them. You come right at them, and you make them beat you. Both Libby and Sonny Gray did that in their 2 starts. And since the game in Pittsburgh, when Libby gave up, it was 5 earned runs in that one. Libby has an ERA of 1.88. I know he had that rain-shortened start in Cincinnati, which was a bummer. I was excited to see him pitch live, so that pissed me off, honestly. It didn't work out. But since that game in Pittsburgh, including the rain-shortened one in Cincinnati, 1.88 ERA. He's allowed just 6 earned runs over 5 starts, covering 28 and 2/3 innings. He has struck out 27. He's walked just 6 and has given up only 1 home run. He's now 3-3 on the year. The ERA is down to 3.07. The WHIP is under 1 at 0.951. Moving him from the bullpen to the rotation, as much as you can look at it, a negative side of it where it took a weapon away from the bullpen, it has worked out beautifully for this team and for this franchise. I was more than happy to see him, coming into the season. I was more than happy to see him locked in as that back of the end rotation guy, late inning lefty. And if that was his ceiling, I was okay with it. Because you need those type of guys. Those guys are important. But the Cardinals saw him as a starter. Libby believed in himself as a starter. When you heard him getting interviewed at spring training, he's like, well, I prepare as a starter. I believe myself to be a starter. He never wavered from that. But he's like, I'll do whatever they need me to do and want me to do. It was a bold move to pull him from the pen and stick him in the rotation, especially knowing that you had Michael McGreevy there that could have taken over a rotation spot, which most of us thought was going to happen. But instead, they make this move, and it's worked out big time. And not to think too much into the future, but when you think about next season, a possible rotation of Sonny Gray, Matthew Liberatore, Michael McGreevy, Andre Palante, and Quinn Matthews, that doesn't sound too shabby, right? And you'll still have other guys who are going to compete for spots, guys like Tekoa Roby, Tink Hens. I mean, obviously, injuries have been a thing for Hens and Roby and Quinn Matthews this year. But you're hoping everything will work out and they'll be ready to rock and roll next year when the season starts. But there's guys that are going to be competing for spots as well. Quick shout out to Steven Matz and Gordon Graceffo for their appearances on Tuesday night. Graceffo gets his first save of his young career, which was awesome. It was funny that Victor Scott threw the game ball after it was over, threw it into the stands like, a normal outfielder would, not realizing, oh my gosh, Gordon Graceffo's first save as a major leaguer. Like, can we get that back? So cool on the fan, whoever it was, threw it back into him, and I'm sure he got taken care of later. But yeah, beautifully pitched game, well-earned 2-1 victory. Paul Skenes falls to 0-4 in his career against the Cardinals. He's got a career record of 14-7, and 4 of those 7 losses are against the Cardinals. Still hasn't beaten them. 0-5. That's amazing. And no matter how long this dude's in Pittsburgh, I'm glad the Cardinals already in his career kind of in the dude's head a little bit. There's no way he's not thinking about it, right? He's probably also thinking about Alec Burleson, who has had his numbers so far. Burley is 6 for 15 against Skenes with a 400 batting average. Had that big 2-run double in the 6th inning. That was all the offense the boys could muster, but all they needed in the end. Biscuits and the Cardinals are Skenes' daddy until further notice. Cardinals sweep the series. They got a 5-1 homestand. Great stuff. They moved to 15-6 at home, tied with the Dodgers for the most home wins in Major League Baseball. They finally get back to the 500 mark on the season, and since April 22nd, they're 10-5. Top record in the National League over that period. Can they continue? That's the question. Can they continue this play, not only at home, but can they take it on the road? Because that's where they're going next. That's the key here, because the road has been where the troubles have been more prominent. That's where they haven't played the same brand of baseball. Not that they're not trying and stuff, but it just seems like more things, good things are happening during their home games, and on the road, they just kind of get lulled to sleep a little bit from time to time. So hopefully they'll continue to, continue this juice that they got going at home and take that mojo on the road with them. They get the day off on Thursday, which is great, before beginning a 9-game road trip in Washington on Friday. Then they go to Philly. Then it's the I-70 series against the Royals. So a long road trip coming up. They do get the day off, like I mentioned, this Thursday and next Thursday. So it's not just, 9 straight without any break. So that'll be helpful. But heck of a homestand, man. I'm very much impressed with how they turned things around in that Mets series, and by not letting the pedal up against the Pittsburgh Pirates and taking all three against them. That's what you got to do. Good teams beat bad teams. That's what they do. And the Cardinals right now playing good baseball. They're a good team right now. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Like, subscribe on YouTube, help our channel, and love for the Cardinals grow. I'm going to go have an adult beverage and celebrate this win. I'm going to eat a steak. You guys do whatever you need to do to celebrate. But that's my plan. You guys are the best fans of baseball for a reason. I'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.